Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari In Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari In Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janabhadra Girivarid Hari Jaya Gopi Janabhadra Girivarid Hari Yasodanandana Braja Janasanjana Yasodanandana Braja Janasanjana Yasodanandana Braja Janasanjana Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Braja Janaranjana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari In Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari In Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hey, hey. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Radhe Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Anitai Gaur Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nitai Gaur Hari Bo. Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bo. Om Nitilam Vishnupad Paramahansa Babajaka Acharya Astatara Satya Sri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Sikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Sisi Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kundi Gira Govardhan Ki Vrindavan Mathura Dham Ki, Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki, Jamunamayi Gangamayi Ki, Tulsi Marani Ki, Bhakti Devi Ki, Samaveda Bhaktavinda Ki, Sri Sri Gaur Nitai Ki, Sri Kishore Kishore Ki, Sri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ki, Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bo, all glories assembled devotees, all glories assembled devotees, all glories assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Gaudiya Guru Varga Ki. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachani Valasesha Sindhuvari Praskesha Oh, thank you. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Together. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So wonderful sound. We're on 10th canto, chapter 2. We made it there. Text. Can't see. Text number? 1 and 2. Okay. Shri Sukuvacha Pralamba Bakachanura Trinavarta Mahasanai Mustakarista dvida dvida Putana kesi denuka Anyas chasur bhupalar Bana bhoma dabir yuta Yudanam karanam chakre Bali maghada samsraya Shri Sukuvacha Pralambabaka chanura Trinavarta mahasanai Mustikarista dvidvida Putana kesi denukai Anyas chasura bhupalar Bana bhama dabir yuta Yadunam karanam chakre Balim haghada samstraya Sri Sukuvacha Palam babaka chanhura Trinavarta mahasanai Mustikarista dvidvida Putana kesi denakai Anyas chasura bhupalar Bana bhomhada bir yuta Yadunam kananam chakre Balim haghada samstraya Sri Sukuvacha Yas chaksur bhupale Bana bhamada bir yuta Yadunam kananam chakre Bali magada samstraya Sri Sukuvacha Pralamba bakachanura Trinavarta mahasanai Karis Bana bhamadi bir yuta Yadunam karanam chakre Bali maghada samstraya Sri Sukuvacha Palambabaka chanura Trinavarta mahasanai Mustikarista dvidvida Putana kesi denuka Anyas chasura bhupalar Bana bhamadi bir yuta Yadunam karanam chakre Bali magada samstraya Lady. You have to wait. Did Pusin Yes chasura bhupalar Bana bhamadi bir yuta Yadanam Karanam Chakre Balim Lakhada Samstraya Shisugovacha Palambabaka Chanura Chinivarta Mahasana Mustikarista Dvidvida Putana Kesidenukai Anyas Chasura Bhupala Yaradam Karanam Chakre Bali Maghara Samsura Sraya Shisugovacha. Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, Pralamba, by the asura named Pralamba, Baka, by the asura named Baka, Chanura, by the asura named Chanura, Trinivarta, by the asura named Trinivarta, Mahasanai, by Agasura, Mustika, by the asura named Mustika, Arista, by the asura Arista, Dvidvida, by the asura named Dvidvida, Putana, by Putana, Kesi, by Kesi, Denuka, by Denuka, Anyacha, and by many others, Asura Bhupalaya, by demoniac kings on the surface of the globe, Bana, by King Bana, Boma, by Bomasura, Adibi, and by others as well. Yuta, being assisted, Yadunam, of the kings of the Yadu dynasty, Karanam, persecution, Chakre, regularly performed, Bali, very powerful, Magadha Samsraya, under the protection of Jarasandha, the king of Magadha. Wow. Translation. Sukadeva Goswami said, under the protection of Magadharaj, Jarasandha, the powerful Kamsa began persecuting the kings of the Yadu dynasty. In this, he had the cooperation of demons like Pralamba, Baka, Chanura, Trinivarta, Agasura, Mustika, Arista, Dvidvida, Putana, Kesi, Denuka, Banasura, Narakasura, and many other demoniac kings on the surface of the earth. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. This verse supports the following statement given by the Lord in the Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, 7th and 8th verse. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharatab abhyutanam dharmasya tadatmanam srijame aham paritranaya sadhunam vinasaya chaduskritam dharma samstapanam partaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to establish the principles of religion. I advent myself millennium after millennium. The Lord's purpose in maintaining this material world is to give everyone a chance to go back home, back to Godhead. But kings and other political leaders, unfortunately, try to hinder the purpose of the Lord and therefore the Lord appears, either personally or with his plenary portions, to set things right. It is therefore said, Garbham sancharya rohinyam devakya yogamaya tasya kuksham gata krishna dvidvita vibhudanai sutta. Krishna appeared in the womb of Devaki after transferring Baladev to the womb of Rohini by the power of Yogamaya. Yadubi sa vidaryudyata. The kings of the Yadu dynasty were all devotees, but there were many powerful demons such as Salva who began to persecute them. At that time, Jarasandha, who was Kamsa's father-in-law, was extremely powerful, and therefore Kamsa took advantage of his protection and the help of demons in persecuting the kings of the Yadu dynasty. The demons naturally appeared more powerful than the demigods, but ultimately, because of help received from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the demons were defeated and the demigods triumphant. Wow. Om Haginya Timarandasya Gyananjana Salakaye Chaksur Unmilitam Jaina Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakatamayam Dadati Swapadandikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Tapadakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sahagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Bitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadhutam Parijana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakavitamscha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchaka Pratyubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Te sam satata yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam Tadami buddhi yogam tam yena mamupayanti te. Sukadev Goswami said, under the protection of Magadhadaraj, Jarasandha, the powerful Kamsa, began persecuting the kings of the Yadu dynasty. In this he had the cooperation of demons like Pralamba, Baka, Chanur, Trinavarta, Agasur, Mustaka, Arista, Dvidida, Putana, Kesi, Denaka, Banasur, Narakasur, and so many other demoniac kings on the surface of the earth. So, we are now, at every age there seems to be an uprising of demons. But at this time, of course, you know, the Mother Bhumi went to the demigods, and already Mahavishnu has already said, or Shirodaksai Vishnu has already said, coming, that the Lord will take his appearance very shortly, and that all the demigods should take birth in the Yadu dynasty. So now we're seeing what is the nature of the demoniac, that they're only interested in their own affairs, and they're only interested in their own aggrandizement. And here, thinking only materially and looking at the political nature of the things, they're seeing that at that time when the most powerful king, Jarasandha, was triumphantly managing over his kingdom and anything else he wanted, he basically was so powerful everyone was frightened of him. And because one of his daughters was married to King Kamsa himself, a demoniac in his nature, imprisoned his father, imprisoned many of his relatives. He even imprisoned his sister and her husband, as we know, coming in this story. He's done everything for his own aggrandizement. And because he felt that Jarasandha is so powerful that I'm going to go on in my persecution of all these so-called Yadu kings and dynasties. He saw them as merely figs, not very important, and therefore just a stumbling block in his way to becoming more and more powerful. So this way, he aligned himself with different treaties and with Jarasandha. And then, of course, we know also that he arranged when he was told by Yogamaya or Mahamaya that Krishna was already born somewhere already outside of Mathura there, some other place. So he had assembled all these demons, and here they're being named: Trinavarta, Putana, Pralamba, Baka, then also Agasura. Many of these were Bakasura. Many of them were relatives even of themselves. And he had them assemble all together. And he said to go out and kill any male child that's been born in the last 10 days, because I cannot tell from where they're from, whatever. So any male child that was born in the last 10 days, you kill them. So in this way, this is, the thinking of the demoniac, that they don't have any understanding about the next life, and actually they don't care. If there is, there isn't. They may not believe, or even if they do believe, they don't seem to care, because right now it's enjoy for the moment. Grab the gusto as you can. Try to be the best that you can. Enjoy everything, manipulate everything. This is the platform of demons. And unfortunately at this time, or fortunately for us, because Krishna appeared, that there were so many powerful kings, not only those mentioned here, but also, as we know, in the whole platform of Duryodhana and the uncles Sakuni and Salva and so many other big stalwart kings, and he was assembled, and Krishna assembled them all into the battlefield of Kurukshetra to do a wholesale cleanup job. And then even when all those demons and all the different non-demons, but also heavy Kshatriyas, there was so much a burden on the earth, he gathered them all together in the battlefield at Kurukshetra and annihilated all but a few. And then what happened? Even his own family, there were so many million people in his own family, because he had 10 sons, and then all the different relatives, and there was over a million of Krishna's relatives that were gathered together also around Dwarka. And so he had made an arrangement also where they would somehow or other come together, and they would all beat each other with these and fight and beat each other with these like bamboo rods that were like made of iron. And in this way, he relieved the entire planet of all of his relatives, as well as earlier in the Mahabharata, all the heavy kings. And in this way, Kali Yuga was now coming. So during at least the time there was heavy duty followers of Vedic literatures, but still there were demoniac presence, and the people were getting usurped and were getting crushed, and the common man So Krishna came to remove this burden, as he promised in the Bhagavad Gita, and we read earlier. Yada yada him dharmasya glanir bhavata bharata, that verse. So it doesn't mean that, that Krishna won't appear, or he won't hear that the sufferings of people. But when it gets so intolerant, he either sends himself, or sends his plenary portion, or sends his representative. So we can say, well, what is the difference between then and now? There's big difference, but still, now we've amassed these huge powers of weapons of mass destruction and bio weapons of mass destruction. So we've just increased the art of killing. We become expert in increasing the art of killing. That is our material development. So now, during this particular age, that we're seeing many, many thousands of people who don't even have anything to do with a political arrangement will be killed, can be killed, and will be killed at some point by the demoniac people who simply want to see other people suffering and them on top. So now, no one is safe. Everyone's frightened about the terrorists and this thing, and people are taking up all these movements. I'm this and I'm that, against each other's political platforms, all in ignorance. And at the same time, it's just increasing the demoniac nature of this world. But already, all of our material advancements, many of these material advancements have been there to pursue the art of weaponry. We learn all these. If anyone go to any universities in these research and development, someone finds some new this, immediately the governments want to come in. They want to come in and weaponize whatever it is that you found, so become bigger and better weapons so that we can threaten everyone else, and then we can get our way. And what do we do when we get our way? Like this country and so many others, they'll go and they'll actually go into it and exploit them. So the whole capitalist movement cannot go on without exploitation. That's part of capitalism. One group has to exploit another group for profit. So countries are like that also. So they need natural resources. They need to be able to get cheap labor. They need to buy things cheaper and sell their things at a higher rate. This is the nature of capitalism that we're all a part of in this world today. And because there's the haves and the have-nots, at some point the have-nots come uprising because they're tired of being pushed down and being suffered for so long. They'll come up and then they'll start a revolution. And then that revolution will be what? It'll try to change the balance. But then, because there is no Brahminical culture, what will they change to? We see, Prabhu used to say, and our Gaudiya Vaishnavas used to say, at one time Britain was all over the world as a very powerful united kingdom. And so gradually, as India broke away, South Africa broke away, all of their different kingdom provinces all end up fighting for freedom. They were tired of being exploited. So they fought for freedom, and they got their independence. And now what's with their independence? Are they any happier than they were before? So this is again Maya. Because yes, the nature of the living entity wants to become free, but actually we'll never become free. We're under the jurisdiction of the material energy or the spiritual energy. So we have a choice. We had a choice. And so now we're trying to reclaim that choice, to be back under the spiritual energy. But everyone who came here into this material world, they took the choice of being under the material energy. And under this material energy means birth, death, old age, disease, adhyatmic klesh, adhibodha klesh, adhidaivic kleshas. Miseries to the mind, miseries conformed to the body, miseries performed by the other demigods and other deities. You're forced to suffer. So we're looking for happiness, but that happiness is coming. We're using it thinking, let me try to enjoy the senses anyway and anywhere, however I can, to the best of my ability. So the whole world is pushing, enjoy, buy this, take that, have that. And what happens? The whole world is like going to hell in a handbasket. There's so much suffering, there's so much ignorance. We have leaders that are not even qualified as Sudras. And that's a fact. So what is the hope of the material world? We have the United Nations, and where have they been united? There's no United Nations. There's no united. Everything is what now we've seen even more degradation, even in our so-called capitalist economy. What is happening now? That is becoming corporations are actually whose business is to obtain profit, which means exploitation. They're larger now in their gross national product and their influence than countries. So the countries become monopolized, the leaders become monopolized by the payments that they're giving to the leaders by these big corporations, and the corporation's interest is simply making profit for the shareholders. We should understand this. So in this age, this corporatocracy that now has taken over this whole world, and now there's still strife, because there's strife between who's on top, which country is the best, who's going to exploit the resources of Syria, who's going to exploit the resources of the Middle East, eventually who's going to exploit the resources of Africa. And so in this way, what is happening more and more and more, we'll see the restriction by Mother Earth. She'll restrict different things. As we read in the 10th canto, as Prabhupada also told us, what will happen? Soon we will see that there'll be hardly any food. There'll be no sugar. There'll be no rice. There'll be no fruits. People will start living on nuts. And nuts and those kinds of things. And when that diminishes, what will happen? They'll get things from the sea, but the sea will also practically die. With so much algae and stuff will come in, the seas will become polluted. And then they won't be able to get any food for there. What will happen? They will start becoming cannibals. Read the 12th canto. This is not Mahabuddhi speculation. They will start becoming cannibals, eating each other. And when I asked Prabhupada, well, Prabhupada had told me in 1969 or 1970, he said he started reading the predictions for the first time in the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam. And he said, people, they'll be considered a ripe old man if they live to be 25 years old. There'll be no justice unless you have money. People will think the external body is all that there is, and enjoyment will come. So what will happen? As we go further into Kali Yuga, if you can chant Hare Krishna once, you can become liberated. That tells you how low things will happen. That they'll hunt the devotees like they hunt deer. Will become like, the devotees who believe in God. They won't have anyone believe in God. They don't want to believe in God. So as it winds down in this time, the earth will be polluted by so much atomic energies and things that they'll hardly be living like animals. They'll live in the earth, like in caves and underground and so many different things. And they'll be suffering, and anyone starts preaching about God, they want to hunt them down, just like one goes hunting season for animals. And we think we're making advancement. This is the nature that's spoken in the Kali Yuga and the Srimad Bhagavatam. So who wants to come back? Who wants to come back to this world that we think is manifesting more and more and more into more and more demoniac runs? So the devotees, they don't mind. In one sense, they're surrendered to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Sankirtan Yajna. So whether they take birth this life, next life, on this earth, some other planet, they're willing to whatever it takes to simply engage in the Sankirtan Yajna to please the preaching of the Lord as needing and helping, and purifying oneself so at the end one may go back home, back to Godhead. So the devotees, they're not so concerned, those that are actually making spiritual advancement. But at the same time, Prabhupada used to say, you should try to finish up in this life. Now, do you think I'll come back? Because coming back, we're thinking everything's going to be nice, similar to what it is now. It won't be. Things will get worse. We're only a short time from global tyranny. What are you talking? This is Bhagavatam class, Mahabuddhi. Yes, Prabhupada said in Atlanta, he told me, he pointed to the city of Atlanta. See that city? It'll become vacant. And I goes, Atlanta is like millions of people, one of the biggest cities in the United States. Yes, it'll become vacant. Everyone will go. They'll be persecuted, and they'll be cannot live. There'll be no food. They'll all go to the mountains, and they'll go to the forests simply to have some safety, and some try to band together and get some food. And only, he called them the vigilantes. Only the vigilantes will there be raping and stealing and pilfering, whatever they can in these big high-rises, which are like chicken coops. And then I said, yes, that's what is said at the end of the Bhagavatam, 12th canto. No, in your lifetime. So, knocking on the wall, knocking on the door. So what does that mean? Two things for us. One, those of us that are devotees, or trying to be devotees, then the program from us, we have to get with the program very seriously. We have to be able to preach, not worry about, oh, I don't know, this Prabhu told me to do the floors. Why don't we do the floors? Who does he think I am? I'm just like a Sudra or something? Doesn't he know how much knowledge I have? He should be engaged in this way. All these petty things that we have in the temples and stuff like that, we have to get past this. Our real business is to serve Sisi Kishore Kishori, Radha and Krishna, to actually develop our love and our attraction to in the mood as Lord Chaitanya is given. With Radharani is a primary. So whatever your different rasas and your attraction is, the movement is the same. The movement is to follow in the footsteps of a Brajabasi who has a similar mood that you're interested in doing. Then you put that mood that you want, that they have and that you're following, that you put that mood in the top forefront of your mind and your goal, and you say, and you have the desire, I must have this somehow or other, even if I'm not qualified. Then I must desire to follow in the footsteps like that and develop that mood. When one gets into that platform very seriously, then the devotional service that they perform will all be geared to obtain that mood, and that is what's called sadhana. If we're not doing it in that mood, then that's sadhana abhas. We're doing devotional service, but it's kind of all over the place because we don't know what our sambandha is with Radha and Krishna. So the devotee has to know what is their sambandha. And at the same time, once you know sambandha, then the program means preaching. Dearness to preaching is whatever you know. I was told, Mahabuddhi, whatever you know, you give. And I said, I didn't know very much. He said, whatever you know, other people will be benefited very greatly, and it'll also benefit you. So that's not just meant for me. That is meant for all the devotees. Whatever we know, whatever we can realize, how seriousness we can adventure, all of you that came to the temple and are staying in the temple, you've given up your material lives to live here. And some of those who may not give it fully, if they're in their grahastha ashram, they're sort of one foot in both worlds. It's a spiritual ashram because you're maintaining family. But at the same time, one has to be more dedicated because it is more difficult. In one sense, it's easier being in the grahastha ashram because you can fit in the material society. But you have to be more dedicated because as soon as you become grahastha ashram, then you inherit so many other so-called responsibilities, and you're expected to all these things. And what happens when I'm serving Krishna was the topmost, it starts going down and down and down. So then sometimes we see in some grahastha ashrams that Krishna's desires to please them is so far down the list, we don't have any time. And that's bogus. We have to rise it up. So ladies also, they also, you know, has the same thing. They have so many responsibilities and family, this and that. But our whole business is what? We're not to make attachments in this world. The more attachments that we have into the material things and stuff in this material, we'll have to come back again and again and again and again. We all know the story of Bharat. He was on the level of bhava. He was experiencing on the top levels in spirituality. And by compassion of a devotee, he saw this deer being chased by this tiger and roaring. And then the deer who was pregnant gave birth to a fawn as she was jumping over the creek. and the young fawn, helpless, was there. And the mother looked back, the dear mother looked back at Bharat, who was sitting on the banks of the ashram there, looking and seeing, and looked at him with compassion. And then she darted off where she had to run from the tiger and went to a cave, and then she gave up her body. So meanwhile, Bharat and the compassionate devotee, seeing a simple fawn is, left helpless in the material world, his mother gone, died, tigers nearby. So he took this fawn, established to feed it, and over the course of time, he became more attached, where the fawn would also saw Bharat as like the father or mother both combined. And then what would happen? When he was doing his puja, doing his bhajan, the deer would come. He would pet the deer. When he was doing fire sacrifices, the deer would come. So after a while, he started looking like, where is the deer? Oh, there she has come. And this way he grew, even though he would live for 100,000 years was the time. At 50,000 years, he was the king of the entire world. He gave up the kingdom, gave up his wife, gave up his children, passed the kingdom on, went to the forest, became detached, became very elevated in spiritual knowledge and spiritual attachment, was experiencing ecstatic symptoms in love for Krishna, saw a deer, became attached, and what happened? Had to take 3 births. I mean, that's Bharat. He was on that level. What about us? He had to take 3 births just to come back. There were ordinary births granted, but still 3, just to become a simple attachment out of compassion for a deer. So what happens when we become attached to house and home and wife and children and husband and boyfriend and girlfriend and cars and pets and bank balances and jobs and positions, and we become bewildered by so many material attachments? What will happen? Bharat only had a little attachment and even in compassion for a deer. We have so many attachments that we can't even count them all. So how will one go back to Godhead in this lifetime if we're stirring the pot and increasing our attachments? So we should understand that the whole business, that what happens at the time of death. At the time of death, it is like a dream. We cannot control how our minds are going during a dream. Now I want you to make a left-hand turn. No, don't turn that way. We don't have any control. The mind is actually doing what it wants. Sometimes it's flowers in the sky. Sometimes all sorts of strange things, and it'll go. Sometimes they're very horrible dreams, very frightening. Sometimes very pleasing, seeming material. But the mind's doing whatever it's going. We're being carried along like in a chariot that's being pulled by the horses going whatever of the mind, and we have no control over it. That is like in the dreaming state. So at the time of death, it is the same thing. Even if you're in a coma, it's the same thing. Your mind, you have no control of where your mind's going. So Prabhupada would say, why are we chanting this Hare Krishna? The test will come at the time of death. We're chanting Hare Krishna to become attached to Radha and Krishna, and also have our minds experience that loving relationship that comes to the holy names and chanting. But at the time of death, if we haven't developed a stronger attachment for Krishna, Radha and Krishna, Lord Chaitanya in our service, then we'll think of some other thing that our mind's attached to, and again we'll take birth in however we're thinking. And as a devotee, that's okay. You'll get another chance. But I mean, if we're serious, then we go like, who wants to come back to this material world? We can call Yuga when it gets getting worse and worse and worse. So our position is we should be aware of what's required. We should know what the goal is. We should fix our minds on that goal. We should then take up devotional service in such a way that that goal is in mind, and we start the path like a ship, like an airplane taking off, and take off toward that goal. Then performing the 9 different processes of devotional service, that becomes sadhana. If it's splayed, when I'm worshiping Sita Ram, then Radha Krishna, then Lakshmana Singha, then Everything is all over there. So we're like, kind of like, it's doing devotional service, but we're not fixed. And then the Bhagavad Gita in the 4th chapter, Prabhupada said, Vyasatmaka buddhi, that one has to become one-pointed. On where are we going, what it is. So then in Chaitanya Charitamrita and in our flights, it means that we have to know what is our sambandha, what is our relationship. When you get initiated by the spiritual master, for those who receive Gayatri mantra, then the first mantra in Gayatri is to establish your So I used to go and listen. Because when I got Gayatri mantra from Prabhupada, I couldn't remember even hardly what he said. I was so much trying to remember the 4 principles and trying to decide. And when in front of Prabhupada, my mind just went blank. I don't know what he said. He said, my other devotee said, yeah, he talked for 5 minutes about you. And I go, I can't remember anything. It was like fearful. So later on, as many different devotees would help become initiated, so I would go and I'd listen sometimes to the mantra being chanted and the explanation. So almost every devotee that comes in will go like over their head because they're so absorbed in the moment and chanting, and Prabhupada is there and a little bit fearful, and all these things going through, no one really hears what he said. So if you are fortunate to go back from Prabhupada and from others that able to hear what is they giving you, they're telling you how does it meditate? What do you do on the different mantras and your relationship to mantras? So that at the time, if you're fortunate, at the time you become initiated, your guru is actually giving you what your sambandha is, but no one hears. So, and that's probably the mysticism of Krishna. But actually, we have to establish that. We have to bring out what our natural attraction and affection is for Krishna. So these demons are here. They're what? They're actually opposing. They're opposing the spiritual movement of Krishna. They're opposing the spiritual movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And we should make no doubt, have no doubt that they're here today. They're here today in governments. They're here today in spiritual movements. They're here today in so-called scientific studies and so many things. So if we were to understand really what goes on behind all these different things in American society, we would be shocked. Just in the pollutions in the food, in the air, when you see these trails that go through the air, what do you think's happening with these? Why do we need these? Do we just need to color this? They're actually polluting the environment. Because some of these demons are not even from this planet, they're from other planets. They enjoy when there's actual anxiety, and they feed on fear and war and all these things. This is what all around us. We should not be so naive as just thinking, oh, everything's going on, and it's all, we believe in all these governments and all these. We should wake up. The only government we belong to is the government, actually, of C.C. Radha and Krishna. And then they pose as the demigods come. And we should also understand, there's even in this movement, at different times, there'll be people that will also not represent what Srila Prabhupada and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and our Gaudiya Sampradaya is preaching. So we have to know, we've seen in different times earlier, different platforms, different things. So, and we see government agents. Actually, this is true. I had a CID agent working for me in Bombay when I was the general manager there. He told me, he said, I'm a CID agent, but he became a devotee. He said he was a devotee. He was still a CID agent. He was supposed to report to them all these things, but he also was a devotee. So he became affected by all the chanting and being around all the devotees, and he took initiation. But he was a CID agent, and his man was supposed to report back to the Indian government what our society was doing. So don't think there's not that the same here in America, and that's in India. What do you think? United States is also. So we have so many things around us. So are we so concerned about that? No, because we're concerned about developing our love in our heart and following the principle. Prabhupada used to say, what happens if the bombs were coming? He said, we'll go to the temple and we'll chant. There wasn't like, we're going to save ourselves, we're going to go run to the villages, and we're going to take our backpacks that are filled with our survival gear, and we're going to. He said, let's come to the temple and chant Hare Krishna. But what happens? The bombs will come. Chanting Hare Krishna comes Hare Krishna. So that's really hard for other people. So, no, this life, my body. This thing. But at the time, how many births have we taken in this material world already? Millions upon millions. Now we're getting a chance to serve. We should pray from our heart that we become useful in the movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Become useful in the service of our Guru Maharaj. Become useful in the service of our Gaudiya Guru Varga that has given their life and blood to preach this mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. How fortunate it is that we're even getting a chance to be in it. So we should become useful in it. We should become a proper utility. We should pray. We should pray, please. I'm not qualified. I don't know anything. But somehow engage me in your service. Make me an instrument for how your will. As much as I become surrendered and you can use me, please use me however that I can help you, that I can help qualify. When Arjuna went in the battlefield in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna as his friend became the chariot of Arjuna, and he was there against all the other demoniac kings and friends and relatives, and he as he pulled his chariot out in front to look, then out of compassion, Arjuna became overwhelmed in seeing, oh, here's my grandfather and my guru teachers and my cousin brothers and my brothers and our sons and friends and all these people. What is the use of fighting? Of all the people we want to enjoy our kingdom with are all killed. What has become? There's no profit in this. Why? I won't fight. Meanwhile, very much compassion as the devotee showed, but he forgot. And what did he forget? That as a servant of Krishna, that my duty is simply as a servant, as an instrument. And Krishna wanted to use him because he was a skilled fighter by the mercy of Krishna. He was given so many alankars in battle, so many archery and things he was expert at. Krishna wanted to make him the instrument to kill all these demons. But then Arjuna became compassionate and he started thinking, for me, there's no profit in this for me. Why should I do this? Wrong. Whether everything Arjuna said actually took place. Yes, it was true. But Krishna wanted him to use him as an instrument. He wanted him to surrender and use as the instrument to fight this battle and annihilate all these people. And then when Krishna said to him he's worried about all these people, then he told Arjuna, what? I've already killed them. They're already dead. You're just my instrument. So how this world and how the future and how Kishore Kishori and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda, how they're going to interact with this world in the future coming up there, we don't know. We haven't been given that information. But our business is to become so surrendered and so honored and serious about the devotional service process, about how to do it, that they can use us in their service as an instrument. There's so many people suffering out there. They're suffering even if they don't know they're suffering, which is even more amazing. They don't know they're suffering. They've accepted, oh yes, birth, death, old age, and disease. So we're just trying to, eke out a little bit of life before death comes, a little bit of enjoyment before death comes. So they're running like mad, trying to grab anything they can because death will come very shortly. And with all the demoniac things, the people there, we've increased the science of death. Now some madman can push a button and kill millions of people. Or they can release a little tiny vial that no bigger than something that you would see, they draw your blood. And release that and kill millions of people just because of biological. They're actually creating more and more of these dastardly weaponry, and then they're having to store them. They create them, they don't use them, and now they have to store them. And the facilities they store them, and the people that over control them, it's bound to happen. It's bound to take place because we've created, Prabhu would say, they've created these things so they're going to have to use them. And so when some lunatic, and we seem to be doing pretty good in selecting those lately in all these different countries, we're having people that are not qualified even to be a leader. They simply have some money, and that's also explained in the Bhagavatam, that people will think they're leaders, and they think they'll only be given notice, recognition by how much money they have. So we should understand this is a great time for dedicating oneself to be useful in this fight against the material energy, against the demoniac, to be servants of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this Sankirtan Yajna. But if we don't take that seriously, if we don't try to improve that upon ourselves, then the wagon wheels will go on. They say, the Prabhupada used to say, the caravan will go on, and we'll be left behind. It's up to us. We have free will. Krishna's not going to force us. He's not going to force us. Seriousness means becoming serious. I ask that every year for 6 years in a row to Prabhupada. I always got the same answer. Prabhupada, how do we become more serious? By being serious. Prabhupada, how do we become more serious? By being serious. And every year, because I got to be close to Prabhupada in his rooms for 5 years as running his darshans and Vrindavan and Mayapur. 5 years, all that stuff in guard. And every time I would ask Prabhupada, how to become more serious? By being serious. So I got that every single word, by being serious. So that being serious, that's on our shoulders. We're thinking, oh, please, Lord, give me the kripa. Please give me your mercy. Yes, that we pray for Radha and Krishna's mercy. We need that. But also we have to do something. Just like Mother Yasoda, she was trying so hard to tie Krishna into wrap, but it was always 2 inches too short. So then they went and got more until she got all the ropes in Vrindavan and tying them, and still couldn't get Krishna. She still was struggling to try to do this because I have to save Krishna from being a bad personality. And so Krishna said, okay, she's endeavoring so hard. She's sweating, coming through even her sari and choli. And he says, all right, but so then I agree. Then he agreed to be bound and to give his mercy. But we have to endeavor. 2 things, the endeavor and the kripa. Not just the kripa. If the kripa, when you're not endeavoring hard, then why should the kripa come? What is our qualification? So we have to work hard and try our best, even unqualified, but we have to try our best in sincerity. And when that's sincere, trying best, then Krishna's kripa can come, or Guru's kripa can come. And without that kripa, we're not very advanced. Prabhupada told me, like I said, we were talking about the platform of how one becomes, how the qualifications come. And someone was saying like this and that. And then Prabhupada said, I have given you your qualifications. Which is true. Whatever qualification we have, devotional service. We weren't born with so many good qualities. We're born in, we're all products of Kali Yuga. We're Kali Yuga chelas. All these faults are also ours. Lord Chaitanya came, and we have to raise our hands. Who did he come to save? I don't see any of your hands up there. Who did he come to save? He came to save us. Why? Because we're the fallen people in the Kali Yuga. We're thinking they're out there, all the fallen people. No, we're that Kali Yuga. This process of Harinam Sankirtan is meant for us, as well as we're trying to give it out there. Not it's all meant for all you and we do something different. We're going to become jnanis, we're going to become yogis. No, this Sankirtan process is saving for us because why? We're also that Kali Yuga Chela. We're also that Kali Yuga product. So that's the first meaning of humility. We have to first come to the understanding that, yes, we are fallen, and we are that Kali Yuga product that needs saving by Lord Chaitanya. And then we take that platform by his mercy. That is humility, the first step in humility. We think I'm better than everyone else out there, and I don't have to take this. We take this. So not so many devotees will think like that, granted. But still, we have to first, that is our first step. When we say Trinadapi Sunuchaina, Tarorapi Suhistana, Amani Manadena Kirtina Sadahari, what does it first mean? Yes, I am fallen. Don't have any good qualities. Whatever I do, I screw up. Whatever I do, I still attach to so many material things. I've heard so many instructions, and still, I'm just like a dumb stone. I don't make any progress. So, yes, Lord Chaitanya, I am all the qualities in Kali Yuga that have also infected us, and you've come here to save us as well as to save the unlimited masses that are out there. So if we take that platform first, then we see, oh, I'm not a very wonderful devotee. I'm not a very knowledgeable. I don't have very many qualifications. I'm not very advanced, and all these things. So we can actually then take to the service of Lord Chaitanya. And why do we want to take to the service? Not only for personal satisfaction or personal liberation. that we may have something, but we want to be useful. We want our expression of love is how much we can help. What can we do to help propagate Lord Chaitanya's mission? He came and he sent so many representatives to us, knocking on the door, wanting to surrender. I think, not now, maybe next life. So when we become serious, then now with all these demons, that in this point, Lord Krishna came himself, the whole population at the time Krishna came, at this particular time, was overrun by demons and demoniac heavy-duty kshatriyas that were usurping kingdoms. So the earth was feeling, it's overburdened, and the people in general, many of them were just being usurped and exploited and suffering like anything. So Mother Bhumi went to the demigods, and they went to the milk ocean and pleaded their case to Lord Brahma, to please, you have to send some help. It's like a Dvaitacharya, as Mahavishnu himself, back 500 and some years ago, he saw there was so much suffering, so much ignorance, so much Mayavadism and things being preached. No one understood who is God, what to do, what's the process. So he was qualified to preach, but he said, all these people, even I can't do. They need the big bang. They need the. So I can't give that. I can also competent. He's competent to save the world, but he's praying to Lord Chaitanya. He's praying to the Lord. You must descend. Only you can give this Manjari Bhav. Only you can give this platform of love that only happens once in a day of Brahma. Only you can do this. We can't distribute it. So he is Mahavishnu, and he's still praying as he's washing, he's pouring Ganga Jal on the Shalagram Shila and offering Tulsi buds, Tulsi with manjaris. And he's offering them, praying, he's calling out, screaming out, please Lord, you must come. So is Mahavishnu calling, even Lord, even I can't help, you must come. So in that same way, as Lord Chaitanya came, he's also sending his representatives. So we have to take advantage of the opportunity that's presented to us. Ultimately, we'll all have to become like Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami, and following that platform. We'll have to give up wife and home and house and children and prestige and job. We must, at some point, before we go back to Godhead, we'll have to become also renounced and 100% sevak of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Radha and Krishna, Radha Madhava. So that is the platform. So one, we shouldn't hopefully unlimitedly go and try to increase our attachments in this material world, because we'll be forced to come back to enjoy and suffer them. And two, we should out of love, whatever our spiritual masters and what we've learned through the movement, be willing to sacrifice this lifetime in the service of Radha and Krishna, Shishi Gaur Nitai, and our Guru Varga, so that we become useful and instrumental in propagating those desires and service to them. And in this way, we can be counted upon the useful instead of an asat disciple. And that will also benefit us greatly. Hare Krishna. So is there any questions or comments or corrections? Not meant to be a political class, but we should be aware of what we're up against. So just like Arjun wanted to see what's the strength in the other party, take a look, who want to see who's fighting, what's the abilities of your opponents. So we look at now today the abilities of our opponents. We, as a small movement, we're not very well funded. We have a few devotees, compared to all these huge mega billion-dollar, corporations and all these governments, repressive government stuff. So how can we become successful? Well, we have the example that we read every day in the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna came on the side of Arjuna, and at that time, Duryodhana was also thinking, hey, I've got 5 times the amount of that. I got so many. I even have Krishna's own soldiers to fight these guys. So then the idea is, the thinking is, I've materially speaking, I seem much more probable to win any battle than these guys. Their best person is Bhima, and Bhishma's here on size. He's not even a fig to Bhishma. So that was the conception that Duryodhana had, that we can win by material concept. But they lost. Why? Because Krishna was on the other side. So this is Krishna's movement. So even though we don't know how all these different demoniac things are going on all around us, that somehow we'll see the propagation of the chanting of the holy names grow and grow and grow and grow, and to become more effective to those people who are interested in coming back to their Godhead. They'll get a chance to participate in this movement. So we should never minimize the congregational chanting of the holy name for some other service. We should always be interested and eager to participate in Harinam Sankirtan. That is the sampling of how much love we receive. So if you're knowing our philosophy, then you're going to be interested in more chanting and dancing. The more you know our philosophy, the more interested you're in chanting and dancing. By chanting and dancing, the more interest you'll have in chanting and dancing. And when one gets tired, it takes Mahaprasad. And that way, spiritual movement, the love of Radharani and Krishna is being installed through the kirtan. How is that mood of love being impelled into our hearts? Through the kirtan. So if you're not participating and feeling ecstatic symptoms within the kirtan, means we haven't yet surrendered, and we're not yet that knowledgeable in the philosophy. If we're knowledgeable in this philosophy, then we give up these things and surrender to the kirtan here in chanting, and bliss comes from it. We're receiving that bliss. It's preparing us for like the rasa dance. In that same mood, everyone chanting and dancing is distributing it. Lord Chaitanya, in the mood of Radharani, is distributing it through Harinam Sankirtan. So maybe some devotees haven't told that before, but I don't think they'll mind if I'm giving you this platform, how Lord Chaitanya is experiencing the same moods, ecstatic, through the Harinam Sankirtan movement. So if we're not attracted to it, it means we haven't understood the philosophy yet. We still need to read and hear and chant seriously. Then when we do that, we'll become very much attracted to the holy name. You hear some cartels or mridanga, immediately your mind will go, it'll just go wherever their kirtan is. It'll go to where it'll just want to go there and want to be in it. And then by chanting, even if one is it's not a great kirtan leader, there's not stuff, still the mind will be hearing the names, and the heart will become just joyful and be forced to dance. Even if you don't want to stand there, but you'll find yourself, you have to dance. Why? Because you're commanded. You're not, like, your body is going to be moving because your heart and your mind is thinking of Krishna through the mantra, and by that experiencing the experience that Lord Chaitanya is giving. So we should always be willing to propagate that and give to others so that they can actually taste also. Hare Krishna. No questions? Yes, Prabhu.
Just not really a question, just want to express gratitude for you sharing with gravity the situation.
I can't hear.
It's on. You can't hear me? I just want to express my gratitude for you sharing the weight of the situation and the seriousness that we need to take to Krishna consciousness in the situation at hand. It's really helpful to hear from you, to just keep going, because sometimes it's easy just to forget there's difficulties in the temple services, things like that, and so I'm just very grateful.
Those are all challenges to crush our ego, and to make us humble, and to put us in the mood of being a servant. Krishna will use you when you're purified to be able to want to be servant, and whatever is needed and required. And when one is dedicated, it's a one-way ticket. It's no return ticket. It's one way, dedicate, going forward, and tolerate. I mean, there's so many examples of people. They were just commonly doing service, and they became heads of entire ashram. Radhanath Swami was at my house. What was it? Wednesday, and we spent 6 hours talking, And we were talking about how when he came, he was like living as a sadhu. He was serving the different devotees, and when he got there, he was only able to do some menial services, and so he was relating back, we weren't qualified, and that how the other Indian devotees even looked at him sort of like, he's a Westerner, he's not Suchi, he's not clean, all these different things in the beginning. This is back in the late 60s, 70s, early 70s. He joined the same time I did. And so if you hear the things, the humble services, no one started off. And when I first joined, because I was a college graduate and I was a president of my student body, and I had all these football players and scholarships and all these things like that, I thought, okay, I'm joining Hare Krishna movement. Everyone was like, what's he doing? I thought it was like nuts, And I thought, okay, I'm going to join. I should be a GBC like the first minute. I should just join and now be put as a GBC, because our minds are in like material. And so my first duty was, chanting in the downtown streets, Chicago, Cincinnati, Louisville, St. Louis, like that. They said that Mahabuddhi would chant. Before I was in Bhakta Randy, and I would chant. My duties was like, because I would chant, and I would say, oh, this is my only service, so I really tried seriously to just chant, and I chanted, and big crowds would come, and then the devotees would be distributing all these books, and said, well, can I distribute books? I said, no, you just have to chant, So I go, well, when will I be able to distribute books? He said, when you realize what you're doing, and so all I did was chant for, several months, and also I could get a big crowd so they could get more books. But anyway, that was a side effect. So then gradually, my next service was I graduated where I could do the laundry. I did the laundry for the devotees, and especially for Satsvarup Maharaj. So I got to the point, had to do laundry and folding. And so I was a college graduate, score a top in my class and thing. And my first was chanting. The next thing I graduated to, I was able to do, laundry. Which wasn't my idea of where I thought, oops, I should just go in and be at the top. No, I was at the bottom. But by serving and doing laundry, serving the devotees, and serving, said we graduated to, we would go to all the colleges and universities, and we would preach at the colleges and universities, and then we would have some books, and everyone was distributing lots of books, and I would come back with 3 or 4 or 5 people all the time, then I was initiated Mahabuddhi or Bhakti, and then I was initiated to Mahabuddhi, and you're always just bringing people back. And I'm thinking, well, what do you, isn't we're supposed to? So everyone was distributing books, so that's fine, you're getting out there. I was talking to them, and so by talking to them, then all these people would come back to our program, so we started making devotees. And, then Satsvarup said, leave him alone. He said, do you continue to distribute? He distributes, but he's also the only one bringing back people. So then, then we got this phone call, and after doing that, and then Satsvarup, we came to a college, and we were all this time preaching at colleges and universities, and we had this program, and there was only like a couple people that show up. Satsvarup wrote Prabhupada that, and he wrote a letter back. We are prepared, Prabhupada said, we are prepared to preach to the walls. No one comes in glorifying Lord Chaitanya. Still, all the insects and all the living entities in the room, they will all hear. So that was like kind of amazing to us, So only through those platforms, gradually by surrendering and service, then one day we got a phone call. We were told we were supposed to be, distributing books to universities and libraries and professors and mayors and all these different things we were going. Because we were the only ones that constantly were preaching in the colleges, so we had, we knew how to do that. So we started that. I remember when our first time we did Chaitanya Charitamrita, we got a phone call from India. Rameshwar called, who's with Prabhupada. Satsvarup was already over there, and Jayadvaita Swami was with us, and we were in New Haven, Connecticut, where Yale University was. And they called, and they said, Mahabuddhi, so I'm on the phone, I'm talking to India. We need you to start distributing Chaitanya Charitamrita. And I said, what's that? It's a new, Lord Chaitanya said, I've heard it, but we don't have a book. Where's the books? He said, well, they're not being printed yet. So how do you want me to distribute them? Without it, we don't even have a book. He said, we're going to send you a dust jacket cover. So, I don't know if anyone's old enough to remember, Lord Chaitanya had this big volume, like the big Krishna books. and it just had there was just a dust jacket cover over the book. So they printed that and sent us like 3 or 4 of them. I went the next day to Yale University. I had no idea how to do anything. Anyway, luckily that Krishna, he sent me to this librarian, just walked me through the whole process of all the different stuff you have to do and how they do and how they order and where they order from. It was like, getting a graduate degree in library and book distribution, in a couple hours. It just, like, whoop, you just got a degree, And then at the end, he bought everything, and I said, well, I have this. And he goes, oh, the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And he goes, I haven't seen that out. He says, well, it's just coming. This is like first dust jacket that were coming out. It's going to be printed out in, I think, 17 volumes. I wasn't sure how many volumes it was. And I said, okay, we'll take that. And so at the end, we realized we're not doing anything. So all we're trying to do is become qualified to be used as an instrument. And he bought everything. We came back and, oh, how did you do that? And I'm going, I didn't do it. I just presented it. This guy was talking. He took everything, saw this. Oh, yeah, I wonder if we should take that. And so later, as you understand that if you just become qualified to be used as an instrument, that's your bliss as a devotee. You just want to try. You don't really have the abilities yourself. These things aren't your abilities, but you're interested, you have some abilities, and you're inclined, and you want to surrender, so Krishna will use you, time, place, and circumstance, to the level of your surrender. So then it's not that we have to become super qualified. We just have to be super sincere. And as we sincerely surrender, then we'll be put in these situations that are like, not your doing, and you just try something. And I remember, I'll give you another story. I knock on the door. All these devotees went to this University of Nebraska, to this one professor, and this whole school hated Hare Krishnas. I mean, they literally just, if they would have banned them or you would have shot them if you just walked in, they just hated it. I think because some of the towns that had so much cow slaughtering and everything. Anyway, so we went there, and I was just praying. Prabhupada told me earlier, Tesam Satidiktanam Bhajatam Pritipura. I'm just praying like that, chanting Hare Krishna. So I knock on the door, and I look at this there, and there was some poster of W.C. Fields, which I hadn't even remembered about since my early childhood, back in the 60s or something, early 60s or early 50s. Anyway, somehow it came up to me, and I said some joke, which I didn't even know I knew, about W.C. Fields. This guy was like a W.C. Fields fanatic. I didn't know. I said something that's unusual for me. And then he went for like that. And then we got into somehow talking about football, which I was a football player, so that was really easy. Talked about that. Then gradually, after about 45 minutes, we start talking about books and what we're doing. And he ordered everything. And then we went to the library. The librarian hated us. He called us. So I'm going to call the librarian. What do you mean you're going to send those? We can't have those. No, you're going to take it off my budget. I think we should have. We don't have any of those things here. That's why I'm ordering. We need to have it. So I'm hearing this argument between the librarian and the professor who was the director of the department. And they were arguing back and forth. Finally, he just said, no, go over there. So I went to the librarian. He's thing, and I made friends with him, even though he didn't, he didn't really want to. And he ordered all the books. And then we came back. We came back to our vans, and all the devotees who had gathered for the weekend from all the different vans that went out to all the different colleges and universities. We had 4 or 5 different groups that went out, and we'd split up each other week. We came back, and I want to know, how did you do this? How did you do this? And I tried to tell him it's not like I had anything to do with it. All I did, somehow or other, I don't know, I opened the door open, I saw some W.C. Fields poster, I said some joke, I don't know what it was, and the whole thing took, all it was Krishna making the arrangement, because we were trying, we were attempting. So the fact that we attempted and wanted to use our intelligence, and whatever came, we rolled with the punch, as ever Krishna wanted to do it. If we do like that, then book distribution and service always come. When Lord Chaitanya was taking Mahaprasad, a devotee came from Jagannath temple, and he came with a big plate of Mahaprasad, and as he gave it to Lord Chaitanya started crying. Just tears going, and he'd cry all night. Sarup Damodar and Ramananda Roy, they couldn't stop him. He was just crying. And the next day, similar. Then they asked him, he says, every time I get this prasad, and he tasted it, and he said, I'm thinking how wonderful, how fortunate the Lord is. He's giving us this opportunity. He said, I'm thinking. He started thinking how him and Balaram and the cowherd boys would sit in line, and they would have joyous moods and changing prasadam and taking it. And another time he would think how Mother Yasoda, Mother Rohini would have all the Kavar boys all line up, and they would all distributing prasadam. And they would think another time when Radharani had cooked some Mahaprasadam and she gave it to Krishna, but Krishna went like, gave some like, it's like not very good, and he put it on the plate of Sridhar, a gopa, and put it on a plate in Sridhar, because he wanted him to taste it. And then Sridhar, he said, no, you take this, you taste this, you know. So he gave it to Sridhar, and Sridhar took it, and immediately he fainted. And he came, as he came back out, he's thinking, the supreme energy of Srimati Radharani gave this to Krishna, and Krishna tasted Mahaprasad. And then he said, I've never tasted anything so ambrosial, so that I lost consciousness. So when Lord Chaitanya says, when I'm thinking Mahaprasad, he thinks of these things. So we're eating, this is very good. We're eating like in I guess, subtle form of lust. Lord Chaitanya is crying because he's actually honoring, because I'm thinking, you know, all these pastimes where Krishna is there and Mahaprasadam, and he's feeling that. So how we relate to the different activities is up to us. How we're remembering how Radha and Krishna's activities and how wonderful they are, how merciful the spiritual master is. So we think like this, then we become qualified, because we're using our minds and thinking about the pastimes, and then we're engaging in devotional service, whether eating or chanting. And chanting, we're supposed to also, when one seriously chants, then what will happen in the higher stages, he or she will be thinking of the different pastimes all through the chanting. They'll be meditating. You read Bhajanahasya of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, meditates on a particular verse at different time, and going from one, and it becomes like one wave flowing into another wave. So chanting becomes like waves, the different waves that are actually in the heart that are moving, and as he's meditating on Krishna and Krishna's wonderful pastimes and Radharani's wonderful pastimes, and these different moods come over the devotees. So in this way they chant all night, and they're like, aren't they tired? They don't even know what their bodies is. They're chanting, and they're so much their heart's been affected. So as we move in our process of chanting, everything depends upon our seriousness, and then our praying for sadhu sangha, to have the advanced association, so somehow these moods can come into my heart. I'm not qualified for these moods, but somehow I'm hankering for them. I wish, I hope, more than anything else, that they will come into my heart as well. Then and then, when it gets that, it's called loyal berries, and that is the process how one moves farther. So it's all can be done by any devotee as long as they're serious. So that's, I can share that. Not that I'm advanced. I can just share that. To some extent, we've experienced. We've all experienced that, devotee, to some extent. And then we compound on that by being serious. I probably overstayed my time, I would say. Subal's not here to chastise me, so I want to thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Jai, please accept my home obeisances. Vanchakalpa tibhyas cha, kripa sindhubhyevo cha, patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So I'll see you guys. I'm going to Florida today, so I will be back till next week, the end of next week. See if finishing get your tour to see. Haribo. Yeah, boo. Pardon?
I went to that funeral service yesterday. Today is the 11th day. Now, when I get the Mahaprasad offer to a picture of my brother, it's already offered. So I don't. What do I say in prayers?
You can offer. You can pray. Say, Krishna, please. I'm now offering this to my brother who has passed away. Please accept. Please allow him to accept it on your behalf. They may take this Mahaprasadam and mitigate any of his sufferings, whatever problems that he's done. Please, take
Help
this.
him along.
Help him along.
And the little shoes.
Yeah. Those you can also do at the same time or a different time. You just pray, please accept these items.